What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film, Rampage. Rampage is directed by Brad Peyton, who you may know from Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore, stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Oscar nominee Naomi Harris, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Malin Ackerman. This film tells the story of a world where genetic editing exists, and after it is banned by the government, another corporation decides that they need to test it because they believe they could sell it for profit to basically terrorists and stuff. So they test it in space, but when something goes wrong and some of it falls down to Earth and infects 3 different creatures, and these creatures begin to grow and be extremely aggressive. The Rock, whose best friend is a monkey named George, and when the monkey begins to grow and escapes the zoo, he has to try to find him and bring him home and take care of him while these other animals are causing all this craziness and they're all trying to get to Chicago and all this wild explosions are going on. Now, if you've ever seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in movies, normally they're pretty big, lots of special effects, doesn't do a lot of quiet dramas, kind of the exact opposite of a Daniel Day-Lewis, I would say. And this film is definitely in that same genre. The Rock does a solid job. He's The Rock. He can play this role in his sleep, and I genuinely mean that I think if The Rock was sleepwalking, someone could just film him with CGI explosions, and people would buy tickets to it, including me. So he does a solid job in the film. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think, is probably the best thing about this movie. He plays sort of this cowboy-esque government agent who kind of does his own thing and carries a 1911 in a cool leather case on his belt that is constantly visible, and I thought that he was very fun and felt like he fit the film very well. The big action sequences are solid. They got bunches of debris and explosions and monsters getting thrown through buildings and all kinds of craziness like that. It definitely had that big summer vibe. The movie is also a lot more violent than I expected it to be, which I think is sort of a plus, but also a little bit of a minus, because I think that sort of definitely affects if parents want to bring their children to the film, since it is a movie based on a video game. Not one that many kids nowadays would probably know, but from my childhood, I 100% remember. But it definitely has a lot more blood and gore than I was expecting it to have, and it fit in some sequences, and other ones I was like, I feel like this is maybe a little over the top for the movie that I'm watching. And then the effects in the movie are solid for the big ones. There are definitely smaller effects that look really, really bad. Specifically, there's a parachute sequence in this movie that looks, oh my god, terrible for The Rock. Like, I don't know who edited it and decided to leave that cut in, because the shots that they used in that could have very easily just not been used and it would have affected that scene zero, but instead they included these shots that just looked horrendous. I'm gonna level with you guys. I didn't really think this movie was very good. As I said, there were a few things that worked in it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, The Rock was fine, the big action was fun, but really the biggest issue with this movie is its tone. The script has some very cheesy and awful lines in it, and that again goes into the tone of the film, because this movie takes itself so seriously. There are so few moments of comic relief or trying to add some lightheartedness to this film that is literally about a giant crocodile, a giant monkey, and a giant wolf attacking a major city in the United States. Instead, this movie invests itself in a very serious, government-oriented, like, we have to stop these animals before they destroy everything type of sense. This movie needed to be more fun. I don't have a problem with big-budget summer fun movies like Ready Player One and Pacific Rim Uprising. I liked both of those movies for what they were, but this movie fell not as badly into sort of the Michael Bay Transformer-ness, where the comedy that was there was extremely immature, not really that well thought out. It was very bland and easy to come up with. And then the story was very serious, and it definitely struggled in giving me anything to care about. And I do think this movie is better than pretty much all the Transformers films, because those are just, they belong in a trash can, they're terrible. But the movie was still not very good. It took the tone of almost the Godzilla reboot that they made with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Bryan Cranston. That movie worked for me. I enjoyed it. It invested in this very dark, heavy tone, but that's because it relied on sort of this mystery and this intriguing story, where this one just shows you everything. There's no mystery to it. It's just there in front of your face, and it still tries to carry this very heavy tone with these very overplayed, overacted characters that in a more lighthearted film would have been even better. Like I said, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's the best thing about this movie, but it's because his character feels like a character that should exist in a movie based on the video game Rampage. He doesn't really fit with a lot of the other characters, but his lightheartedness at least sort of breaks up some of this seriousness that this film wants to carry in it. And it really just ruined the movie for me, if I'm being totally honest. The extreme violence, the like crazy serious storyline, nothing being able to be taken in like sort of a comedic manner. The one character that I feel like was supposed to be the comic relief throughout the whole movie was just very boring and dumb, and he wasn't very funny. He was more just annoying in every single scene he was in, which is a shame because it's a character actor that I somewhat enjoyed in that role. But I really think that the seriousness and the tone of this film just really knocked it down very far for me. I'm gonna give Rampage a C-. If you're a massive fan of The Rock or Naomi Harris or something, maybe give this movie a chance because maybe you'll get something out of it that I didn't. But to me, the tone that this film decided to take with the story that it was telling and the base material that it was coming from, being the video game Rampage, I felt like just went entirely in the wrong direction. It should have been a very fun, campy, big summer movie. Instead, it tried to be this very serious, big budget action film, and I just don't think it worked. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Rampage, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and hope to see you guys later.